River City Podcast Federation.
Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sara Jones. This is another one of our minisodes where I get to talk to you about your ghost stories. In this minisode, I had my first repeat caller. John from Kansas City, Missouri called me back, this time to tell me some scary stories about when he used to work in an old haunted church. Here's the call. I hope you love it.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hey there.
Oh, I don't know why you couldn't hear me before.
Yeah, weird. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. I was like, I'm here. This is Sara Jones from Laughing in the Dark.
Yep.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually in my basement in Kansas City.
In Kansas City.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, do you want to tell the listeners something about yourself? Just kind of introduce yourself.
I'm John. I'm a college student currently at Missouri State. That's about all I got going on.
What are you studying in college?
I'm a psych major.
Oh, so was I.
Oh, cool.
Do you know what you want to do with it?
Probably clinical psychology.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have a ghost story for me?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Basically, my work, I used to work at a church. It was a pretty large church. I worked maintenance there, and we had some odd stuff going on there about the entire time I was working there.
What kind of church was it?
It was a Baptist church, and it was very big to the point where it had to have a large maintenance staff. There's probably about 10 of us all together. There were 3 levels. It was quite a big building, and so. I guess I'll just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I remember the first night I worked there. The first night I worked there, there was a guy who'd worked there for longer, and then me and another new guy.
Okay.
And we were walking down the hall upstairs on the 2nd level, and it was about 10:30 at night. We were locking up, making sure all the offices were locked, so the valuables could be stolen out if somebody broke in at night. And so none of the records could, nobody could get to any of those. And so we're going to check the offices, and the guy's telling us, he's saying, hey, sometimes in this building you'll hear noises, but you'll get used to them. Most of them you'll get used to, but then there's some of them you won't. And right after he said that, about 100 feet down the hall, it sounded as if someone had picked up a filing cabinet and thrown it across the room.
Whoa.
And then he looks at us and says, well, that's one of the noises you don't get used to. And we got down the hall as quick as we could to see what was going on. And of course, the room was not only empty and dark, but it was also locked from the outside. So there was no way that it could have been a person.
And you didn't even see something get thrown, or did a filing cabinet get thrown?
Oh, no, everything was in order. Everything was as it should have been. It just, there was no way anybody could have left either. We even checked the cameras. And the room was dark, so we couldn't see if anything went on in there, but there was no one that left that room.
Wow.
And so that was my introduction to my workplace. And there was one hallway in particular that everyone got a weird feeling when they would walk down, even in the daytime. And I asked employees that that worked there, even some of the pastors, because this was a church that probably had 10 pastors or so. And so even some of them had noticed that this one hallway was a little weird, and it's where a lot of the more strange stuff had happened. Like, for example, there was always a room whenever you'd walk by it and you'd step on a certain part on the floor, you'd hear a creak in the room. And that was normal, except for sometimes when you walked by, you'd also hear someone banging on the wall when there was no one there. And that was something that we regularly experienced, as well as when we were in rooms. There was another time I was on my hall. I was cleaning one of the pastor's offices, and I look up and just in time to see what looks like a child sprinting by the room. This was 10:30 at night. There was no one there. The light in the hallway was off. I only saw her because the light spilling out of the room that I was in. And of course, I stepped out of the room, and all the other doors in the hallway were locked. So it's not like this kid could have ducked out of sight, hid in a room, but of course the hallway was empty. So that was something that happened quite regularly, and as well as things would swing on the walls like wall fixtures, and it's not like paper stuff. It would be the one that I remember most was we had a fixture over a water fountain. And it was like this cast iron, heavy, probably weighed 15 pounds. And it was in that one hallway that nobody liked. And I was walking by the drinking fountain, and I heard like a little scraping sound, like metal against, like a wall. And so I look, and this 15-pound cast iron thing is just swinging back and forth, grinding against the wall.
Whoa.
By itself. In the dark at 10:30 at night, because all this stuff would always happen late at night when we were locking up, because we would have to go through, turn off all the lights, and check all the doors.
Yeah.
As well as disembodied voices, and the knocking would happen. There was actually one time I was on I was cleaning the choir loft. And the choir loft it looked really fancy, but it was actually just kind of plywood built together and carpeted over to look nice. And I was sitting there vacuuming, and I had turned my vacuum off for a second, and I heard 5 knocks, but they weren't it wasn't just a random knock. It was 5, very deliberate, evenly spaced knocks.
Oh,
and so I stopped and I started, kind of looking around and investigating, and I realized that the knocks sounded like they were coming from my side of the floor. So I tried knocking on the top, and then I tried, going down below and knocking there, and it was from the side that I was on. But it wasn't me. And of course, I was alone. It was, empty. And I had even some other guys come and look around. We couldn't. There was no one there.
Crazy.
And the weirdest experience I had ever heard about, I wasn't actually there for this one, but the guy that told me about it, I trust him. It was so in the gymnasium, there was a basketball gym on one end of the church, and there's some doors at the far end that you have to lock, and he's going in there to lock these doors. And he looks up because it's like a 2-story tall room, and on the second story there are some windows looking into the gym, and those windows look down from that hall that no one likes. That always gives people weird feelings. And as he looks up there, and the lights are on, which they shouldn't have been, and the lights were off in the gym where he was, and so he sees silhouetted against the window, but a little girl with pigtails looking down at him. Mind you, this was late at night. The church was empty. There was nobody there. And she looks at him and then walks away from the window. and we don't see her. He didn't see her pass by the window next to him or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she just kind of disappeared. And when he goes up there to investigate, not only was there no little girl there, the lights weren't even on.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
So was that little girl, was that the same kid that you saw running in the hallway, or was it different kids?
From his description, yes, I think it was the same entity, I guess you'd call it. And I figure whatever it was the same thing, yeah.
So you only saw that little girl that one time when she was like running down the hallway?
I saw her and I heard her once as well.
When did you hear her?
I was working an extra shift on Saturday morning, and we were getting Sunday school rooms in the basement ready for the kids on Sunday morning, and I heard what sounded like a little girl going, "Hey," like she had been walking through the hall and had stumbled upon me and been surprised by me being there.
Uh-huh.
So of course I looked up, nobody was there, and then I stepped out into the hall and looked down the hall, and no one was there, and I called to the guy. There was a guy working on the other side of the hall, and he heard it too.
Oh, crazy.
He thought it was me, and I thought it was him.
Uh-huh.
And so that was a little weird. So, and she sounded to be probably, I'd say, like 10 or so, pretty young. And then there's one more incident that stands out to me. And I wasn't working there for this one, but a couple guys that I know corroborated the story. So we have a security system that works around the church, and it has sensors at all the doors and windows. So we have to set it each night, and it also has motion sensors. So if anything is moving in the hallway, they will trip, and it doesn't allow you to arm the alarm because it's saying, "Hey, there's still people in here. You can't arm it." And so a couple of guys at about 11 o'clock at night they're going to arm the security system. And they keep seeing this one spot being tripped. This one motion sensor keeps getting tripped. And so they go to that area, and there are two sanctuaries. And this is an area back behind one of the big, like, main sanctuary. It's always been kind of a spooky hall. A lot of people kind of get a weird feeling when they go back there. And it's one of these little rooms where they keep old sheet music for the choir and for the orchestra.
Oh, cool.
And from this room that was locked from the outside, it was locked from the outside. There wasn't actually a turn lock inside, so you'd have to have a key to lock it. They heard what sounded like growling, I guess you could say. They heard like a growling, and it was almost like an animal was in there. But as soon as they would get close to the door, it would stop. And they opened the door and they looked in there. There was nothing there, no sign of anything being there. And as soon as they would leave, they would hear the growling again as they walked away. And the motion sensor would be tripped on. It would continue to be tripped on the main panel. And so what they did is they decided, all right, we're just going to wait this out, and then we're going to try to wait until it hasn't been tripped, or in between trips and on the alarm. And so they did. They waited. It got tripped. They waited until it, for 15 seconds or whatever, until the alarm went away, and they armed it. And it never moved again. Whatever was setting off immediately stopped tripping it.
Huh.
Just right then. And so that's that was a weird one.
Yeah, that is weird.
Growling at him, but
like that one didn't even sound human.
Right.
Like a demon or an animal.
Something like that. Well, we looked around. There wasn't an animal. Well, not me, but they looked around. There wasn't an animal. They even checked the cameras.
But even
there
like a
wasn't
ghost
anything
animal.
there. Who knows?
Who knows? So, when you heard the knocking, like those 5 long knocks, Did that feel sinister or did it feel playful?
Well, okay. Got kind of a sinister feeling from it. Because I think, I'm no expert on ghosts, but I think whatever is, generally my take on it is even when a ghost seems like it's playful, generally those kind of worry me the most.
Yeah.
And I imagine are the most sinister because, you're a lot more likely to trust something you think is just a little girl who died of a fever. You're a lot more likely to trust that than something that you know is a demon or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you're something dead and you can pretend to be something cute and cuddly, you're going to do it. So people would, be cool with it. And so I felt it was sinister, but I also got the feeling that whatever said hey was sinister as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because my initial reaction to that was kind of like sympathy. Like, I imagine this little girl, that's like lonely and maybe doesn't know she's a ghost kind of a situation. But
I think that's what it wants.
That's what it wants you to feel.
I think that's what it wants.
That's the impression.
Think about it. You've got a building full of Christian people who are generally, kind-ish, you'd assume. And so people that, are very sympathetic people, a lot of those people in that building have, multiple adopted children and, give to charity and stuff. And so they're sympathetic people, caring kind of people. And so they'd be more apt to fall victim to something like that, to trust something like that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think your gut reaction just says so much. That's why I always ask people how things felt. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, it was creepy, but it felt nice. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, a lot of times your gut will tell you a lot about a situation that you can't directly perceive.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So generally, how long did you work in that church?
I worked there for a good probably 2 years.
And you never got freaked out to go back?
No. Just because, I never felt like I was being directly threatened. I'm not really one that scares easily, and even if I am scared, I just ignore it.
Yeah.
Because I figure, why bother being scared of it? If it wanted to hurt me and could hurt me, it would have already done it. So
yeah, what are you going to do about it? Right, exactly.
Exactly. It's either going to try something or it's not, and me being a chicken isn't going to help me. So
yeah, you seem like a reasonable guy.
Yeah, I try, but I would even just for fun sometimes listen to spooky stories and go through and do my rounds, whether it was locking up or cleaning out all the trash and stuff with the lights off, just because, adventure.
Yeah. So, have you had any other ghost story or ghost experiences outside of that church?
None that I can think of.
So it seems like it was just confined.
Think more.
What's that?
I'd had that experience with the dream catcher that I told you about. But other than that,
wait, the dream catcher. I can really think of.
Oh, remember at the trailer with the laundry detergent.
Oh, we've talked before. I'm sorry.
Yes, we have.
I forgot this was a second phone call. My bad. Right. Yeah, that's crazy. So you have had significant experiences with ghosts.
Right, and then I have another story, but I'm not quite sure how to tell that one yet.
Well, I can help you work through it.
Well, suffice to say, I have an appointment here pretty soon, but suffice to say, it's the reason that I say just because a spirit seems innocent does not mean that it is.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, suffice to say that it is the reason that I am wary of childlike spirits.
Okay, well, do you think you could give me the short version?
Someone that I knew, then this was a few years ago, so my memory is a little fuzzy, but someone that I knew befriended what they thought was the spirit of a dead little girl that was like attached to this chest of drawers or something, and a piece of furniture. Turns out it wasn't a little girl. But I figure I'll save that one for next time. There's a lot of all kinds of weird stuff that happened with that.
I don't know if we can do another ghost story call. I think we have to give other people a chance.
Oh, okay. Well, suffice to say, okay, so essentially the short that has all the details is, I would she would talk to this spirit.
Okay.
And she would have full-on conversations with it.
Like she could actually hear the spirit responding, or she did it with a Ouija board?
Essentially, she would this sounds crazy, but she would meditate, and she could she could kind of perceive what it was saying.
Okay.
And then respond to it in much the same way, and she would talk to it. And then I tried it, and you could definitely talk to it, and it would respond and stuff. And then it just hit me one night. I was sitting there, and I thought, let's just give this a shot, see what happens. And I prayed, and I said, Jesus, if this is something that's okay, doesn't want to hurt me, that's not evil, let it stay. But if it's not, cast it out and get rid of it. And I never heard from it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But it never did any harm to you or your friend?
It never did any harm that I know of. But to be fair, in that time period, the girl who originally started talking to it had a really bad couple 6 month period where her life was just completely destroyed.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if that was involved, but I can't say that I know for sure that it was.
It's almost like a chicken or the egg situation. Like maybe things were going poorly for her, so then she became more susceptible to that spirit, and that spirit kind of fed on that. Or the other way around, like the spirit somehow influenced her life in a negative way.
My theory is that she started paying it more attention, that it became, were able to do what it was wanting to.
More powerful.
Because it was getting more attention, more recognition, but I like I said, I can't prove that.
Well, no, we can't either.
It's speculation, but yeah, I'd say it's either the chicken or the egg. I'm not quite sure which.
Yeah. Those little kid spirits are really creepy. It seems like that generally is, the scariest thing. When I take a comedian out to a place, if I even mention a little kid, they're always like, oh, fuck. No one wants to hear that,
That would probably be my reaction if you said, oh, there's a kid ghost here.
Uh-huh. That makes it fun for me, though. I kind of like it when the comedian gets scared.
That does seem like it would be pretty entertaining.
It is. Yeah, I think so. That guy has some amazing ghost stories. If you have a great ghost story to tell me, we want to hear from you. Email us at litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. That's litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. We might want to put you on the show. We're getting close to wrapping up season 1. Don't worry, we still have quite a ways to go. We're thinking about doing a questions and answers section at the end of this season. So if you have any questions you want answered, go ahead and email them in and we'll answer them on the show. As always, thanks so much for listening.
River City Podcast Federation.